Hello everybody and welcome to our second session in our novel The Prisoner of Zenda. I'm Miss Mariam Amer, English teacher for Prep 1, and I'm here today to cover with you Chapter 2. Chapter 2, a merry evening with a new relation. But before we start, guys, try to make sure that you can hear me very well. So try to turn the volume up or you can put your headphones on. Okay guys, before I start telling you the summary of Chapter 2, let's remember what happened in Chapter 1. Rodolf Rosendal promised Rose to accept Sir Jacob's job and to go for a walking tour in Alps, to write a book about the political and social problems of this area. But he had no intention of doing, and he wanted to visit Ruritania to attend the coronation. The date of coronation had been suddenly brought forward, so rooms were all booked and hotels overflowing. So Rodolf decided to book a room in a small hotel in Zenda. At the small hotel, Rodolf Rosendal recognized that he looked like the king. Now guys, let's start the summary of Chapter 2. I will start now from slide 3. While Rodolf Rosendal was walking through the forest, he climbed the hill that led to the castle of Zenda, and from there to the forest of Zenda. He noticed that the castle of Zenda was well defended and had two buildings. The first building was old but well built. There was a moat deep and broad around it. The second building was fine modern, put by the last king. It was now the country house of the Duke of Strelsau. The old and the new parts were joined by a drawbridge. The drawbridge was the only way into the old castle. Now guys, let's move to slide 4. As you see now, this is the castle of Zenda. And now let's move to slide 5. Rodolf Rosendal sat down by a fallen tree trunk to smoke his pipe, and then he went into a very pleasant sleep. Suddenly, Mr. Rodolf was awakened by Colonel Sapt and Fritz von Terlenheim in the forest, and they were very surprised because Rodolf looked almost exactly like the king. For that, Rodolf felt uncomfortable and remembered the looks of the official and Johann that day before. Now guys, let's move now to slide 6. When the king and Mr. Rosendal saw each other, they got shocked. Rosendal gave a cry of surprise at the same time as the king stood back in amazement to see him. Then the king asked Rosendal to forgive him for his surprise. In addition, the king said, "I'd give £1,000 to see Brother Michael's face when he sees a pair of us." To Fritz, when he found Rodolf looked exactly like him. But when he knew that Rosendal was going to Strelsau the next day to attend the coronation, he seemed doubtful. Now guys, let's move to slide 7. Fritz and Sapt had the same point of view, that it was not wise for Rosendal to visit Strelsau to attend the coronation. For that, Rosendal decided to leave Ruritania tonight, but the king asked him to have dinner with him tonight. The servant Joseph prepared the dinner, and it was plain enough. The king drank a lot of wine, and all Fritz's attempts to stop the king were hopeless. At the same time, Michael sent with Joseph a bottle of wine, which had drugs, to make the king sleep to prevent him from coming to be crowned. If Rodolf V was not crowned, Michael would be the first to take his place. The king was sleeping by drugged wine, so they chose Rosendal to be the king, because if Rosendal was not crowned that day, Michael would take the king's place, and the king would lie in prison or in his grave. I'm sorry guys, I will repeat that part one more time. The king was sleeping by drugged wine, so they chose Rosendal to be the king, because if Rosendal was not crowned today, Michael would take the king's place and the king would lay in prison or in his grave. Now guys, let's move to slide 8. As you see now, this is a photo, and as you see now, we have Rodolf Rosendal and Rodolf Fifth. Yes, this is slide 8, as you see. And you will find now Rodolf Rosendal and Rodolf Fifth, and they were having dinner tonight. And as you see now, we have the king who was drinking the drugged wine. Now guys, let's move to slide 9. Now guys, we have finished the summary of chapter 2, and we are ready now to answer some questions. Question number 1, describe the castle of Zenda. The castle of Zenda was well defended and had 2 buildings. The first building was old but well built. There was a moat deep and broad around it. The second building was fine modern, built by the last king. It was now the country house of the Duke of Strelsau. The old and the new parts were joined by a drawbridge. The drawbridge was the only way into the old castle. Now guys, let's answer question number 2. What the devil have we got here? Shave him and he will be the king. Comment. Now guys, let's answer. Colonel Dabt said these words to Fritz in the first, when they saw Rodolf for the first time, and they were surprised because Rosendal looked almost the king. Now guys, let's answer question number 3, and this is a comment question. Well, Mr. Rosendal, you may not know it, but you look exactly like our king. And as we said before guys, if we have a comment question, you have to answer to 5 WH question: who, to whom, why, and where and when. Dabt said these words to Rodolf Rosendal in the first. So now guys, I'm answering now the question of who, to whom, and where. When Rosendal was awake after a pleasant sleep, why Dabt and Fritz. But when Mr. Rodolf knew that he looked exactly like the king, he felt uncomfortable and remembered the looks of the official and Johann that the day before. Now guys, as you see, we have finished chapter 2, the summary of chapter 2. Thank you for your concentration. Goodbye.